professor is immersed into research, right? So they write research grants for proposals to get funding for their research. And once they get the funding, then they execute these research, right? They study social science professors and researchers. They study economy or society and other cultural aspects. So all these they study, right? Geography. So they study and then they bring the new insight to the discipline and new breakthroughs. And similarly, science, similarly technology. So all this, how to advance humanity, right? So how to make human life more easier, more inclusive, more sustainable. So these are some of the issues, the professors also are tackling through their research, right? So that is where the university provides that opportunity to professors, researchers who are like doing their postdoctoral fellowships, right? So who are researchers basically, and the PhDs who does research, but as a student, not as an employee, but they are also students, but they are also researchers who are most of the times in Germany, they are paid, right? They are given scholarships to study and to bring their research into a published work, right? And what is the biggest advantage apart from these two, studying in Germany is a very low cost destination, right? So you don't have fees for most of the public universities, right? Public university programs. So if you want to study any of the masters, bachelors, or PhD, you don't need to pay fees, or you have to pay either nominal fees in some places. In some places, a little higher bit of a fee, which is no way, comparable to US and UK, which are like really, very expensive to study in those countries. In that context, Germany is one of the very inexpensive or low-cost education destination for foreign students, especially who are coming from Global South. Global South is nothing but developing countries, right? Like India. And living expenses also are lower, when you compare to US, UK, and other countries like France, Netherlands, or Sweden, Switzerland. If you compare to all these advanced countries, all the Western countries, advanced and developed countries, so Germany offers you a lower cost, but high quality life, right? And programs, when it comes to the education courses and programs, Germany also offers variety of them, and most of them are career oriented, and others are even fundamental research. Like, you are not career oriented, but you do research and you become a researcher, or you become a academic, right? By doing intensive research. So that there are two paths you have, but that we will come to that a bit later. But what I meant here is, so if you are not looking for a PhD as an option, or you are looking for something like very career oriented, Germany also offers that. That's what I meant to say. Because many think, Germany offers only either academic, and some think it is only offers some kind of engineering destination, right? But it is both. And as I said earlier, education infrastructure, but it also gives student facilities. As I said, it has its own, student cafeterias and student, entertainment zones. Students can have their own, events. So for all that, the universities provide infrastructure for that, right? And Germany also allows students to participate in student elections, and students organize their own affairs by conducting elections and by electing their own government, student government, in most of the universities. So you have an opportunity to participate in student politics. And Germany also is becoming an international education destination. So earlier, very few people used to come to Germany, but latest studies show somewhere around 30 to 40,000 come in the last 2-3 years. that's been the case. In Germany earlier, let's say 15 years ago, there were hardly 5,000 to 10,000 people were studying in Germany from India, right? 5,000 people. But now there are almost 40,000 people who are studying in India, right? So, and you also have an opportunity to extend your stay once you complete your master's or bachelor's. So you can stay here for 18 months and then look for a job, right? So in these 18 months, you can work for any organization. There is no restriction on working with any of the, even odd jobs, which are odd jobs in the sense, which are mostly working in the restaurants or working in the supermarkets or working in the factories. So this is very much possible, and that's what a lot of students from developing countries, when they come here, not even developing, even developed countries, right, who come as a student, even German students, they work when they study. But after studying also, the international students have 18 months of extended period where you can stay in Germany and look for jobs. So that is another advantage. In some countries, it's also 2 years. In Germany, it is 18 months, which is 1.5 years. And so the Germany's, studying in Germany is not all that rosy, right? Everything is not, it's not full of opportunities or full of happiness. There are also challenges. There are also difficulties. One, people who come here, students who come here and pursue education, right? So one is the biggest challenge or obstacle to come to Germany is language, right? German is a difficult language to learn for people, especially from people from India. And it's also, it is also very much used, in Germany. It is not like people use often English, though people know English, but they are not very fluent, most of them. And most of them are not comfortable, talking in English, and they speak in German. So most of the Germans. But in the workspace, they use both English and German. But that doesn't mean that, English is an official language in Germany, right? So it is not. It is German is the official language, and even in the private enterprises, corporates, or even in some university settings, it is German which actually prevails over English. So knowledge of German is essential if you want to work in Germany, if you want to really look for a long-term future in Germany, right? So that is the most important thing. So it also gives you a cultural perspective. The more you learn German, the more you interact in German, what it gives you is, it gives you, a great, stability in the country. Like you can feel, you can get more people to help you, and you can interact with more people, you can network with more people, you can get more opportunities in jobs, because most of the jobs, they say English and German, right? So both are required, right? So 90% of the jobs, what you see on LinkedIn, you can go to LinkedIn and then check, whatever your field is, you can simply put that field and then say jobs in Germany, and then put German, any German city, and then search for jobs, you will know. So every job demands both fluency in English and German. So that is the biggest problem. So if you don't have German skills, even if your company hires you, a company after your studies, or when you are doing your internship, what happens is you cannot enjoy your work. You cannot interact with people. You cannot understand the politics of the organization, right? So because every organization has its own politics, its own, sociological, aspects. To understand and to grow in an organization, you need to know the local language. You need to know the people, language of the people. So that is why it is very important to learn German. But that is a challenge for Indians. So it is always advisable to learn German before coming here. And once you come here, you start practicing it, you will really master the language, and then you can get easily jobs, you can easily scholarships, easily, funding, and new opportunities and growth. Everything happens because of language. So that is what you have to keep in mind when you think of Germany as a destination. And the second is cost, right? Though Germany is, most of the universities, they don't charge, fees. There is a small fees, right? There is a small fees called semester contribution, it is called. So this semester contribution is usually around 200 to 400 euros, right? So 200 to 400 euros per semester, which is today's rate. You can say approximately, I will give you, so it's around 20,000, right? 20,000 rupees per semester, not per month, not per year, but it's per semester. Semester is basically 4 semesters you have for masters. It's a two-year masters is usually 2 years in Germany. So you have 4 semesters. Every semester you have to pay anywhere between 200 to 400 euros, which is 20,000 to 40,000 rupees. Depend on city, dependent on university. So if the university is in any expensive city like Munich, they may charge more. University in the former Eastern Germany, something like where I studied, my public policy masters, I studied in a place called Erfurt, which was in the former Eastern Germany. So where the costs are not so high, taxes are not so high. So there you pay only 20,000 rupees. So when I was there, I paid 25,000, around 20,000 rupees per semester, right? So this semester contribution is also for your day-to-day travel, right? So if you want to, if you live in a bit outside the university, then to commute to the university, or from the university to the downtown where the shopping is there, you want to go outside. So in the state, depend on the city, they give a ticket for you, which is part of your student identity card. So that identity card will have a pass that is actually contributed from this semester contribution of 20,000 to 40,000 rupees, right? So that is the only thing you pay to the university, right? So for your program. So in most of the universities, in the publicly funded, I'm not talking about the private universities here. It's only I'm talking about the public universities, government universities. Some government universities, they have special programs where you have to pay a little bit more fees. Like let's say I studied Master of Public Policy in University of Erfurt. There I paid 1,500 euros per semester after paying this semester contribution, which is almost 1 lakh rupee, right? Per semester, which costed me 4 lakhs for 4 semesters. So, but which is very low if you compare that expenses, same public policy with Indian universities, right? So something like Indian Institute of Management in IIM, which is considered to be one of the best public policy courses they have in India. So IIM Bangalore has it. So in IIM Bangalore, you have to pay almost 15 to 20 lakhs, right? So which is way more than a good, high quality international public policy degree, which it can give you in Germany, is much lower than what you pay in either in IIM Bangalore or in Jindal School of Public Policy in Jindal University, or in other places. These days, there are many public policy courses. I think Azim Premji has one, and then there is one in TIS. There is one in NLSUI Bangalore. I'm not sure about their fees, but they are also not completely free. They also charge some fees, right? So they also charge. But what I'm saying is, for what you get the quality of the education, right? So the kind of professors, the kind of infrastructure, you pay very less. But recently what's happening is, you might be aware of what's happening in Europe, right? So after COVID, first of all, there is a increase in all the prices, first. Second, the COVID has been now, complemented by a new problem, that is war, right? So war in Russia and Ukraine, right? So between Russia and Ukraine, Russia invaded Ukraine, so there is a war now. Now Europe is facing that problem. So because of that, all the prices have gone up. Now, if you want to come to Germany, you have to factor in this inflation into your budget, right? So you have to think about how much more it costs now, to pay rents, to pay your food expenses, and other, other miscellaneous expenses what you have for day-to-day expenses, right? Transportation is free for you within your own. If you want to commute to the university and in your town or nearby places, transportation is free, right? Free in the sense that what you pay, your semester contract takes care of it. But other costs like food and living expenses, they have to be borne by the student, right? Student has to pay for it. So that's where the problem is. And these costs are going up in the last 2 years, 3 years, these costs are going up. So you have to remember that. And I will tell you more about this when we come to the funding part and the fees part and all that. And the another challenge is concentration of skills demand in few sectors, right? So in Germany, there's another issue where for social sciences, there are good opportunities are there, but there are also huge supply, right? So there's a demand, but there is also a huge supply because a lot of German students study social sciences. They study economics, they study public policy, they study political science, they study sociology, they study geography. So philosophy. So in Germany, it's a norm, right? It's kind of a social practice. So a lot of people study social sciences, and a lot of people also study multidisciplinary. Like, let's say, one side they study law, but at the same time they also study something economics or business or something like that. And people study medicine and they study law. People study medicine and then MBA. So they study multiple degrees which are not related in a way, but they are somewhere related in career, but not as a disciplines, they are not related, right? Unrelated disciplines when it comes to in conventional sense. So conventionally or traditionally, what we think is we cannot think that it's like somebody has done medicine and then law. Why? This question will come, right? But in Germany, it's not so it's not very uncommon, right? It's very common. It's like a lot of people you can find actually this kind of things. So because of that, what happens is these the jobs which are there in certain sectors, they are already filled by the supply which is already there in the market, in the job market. But in some sectors, like let's say high demands, where the skills are there, but there is a low supply. That is IT, information technology, computer science, data science, statistics, artificial intelligence, and all this technology related and the mathematics related, right? And some of these highly fundamental research, right? Some of them like biological research in the stem cell research, or some of these biotechnology. So there also you have a lot of scope for it, scope for the jobs, but not in the traditional, courses. There are, the demand supply gap is not that much. So you will find it difficult to find jobs in social sciences related jobs, right? And another problem is academic jobs. Academic jobs also is not easy to find, in Germany. So if you do your PhD in Germany, it is extremely difficult. It may not be, I would not say it is impossible, because there are cases where Indians, after studying and after doing their postdocs here, they have got jobs. But that's like, you can count on fingers, right? So you don't have many examples where people have come from, studied in India, and then they have come here to study PhD or postdoc they have done, or they have done their masters, but they have got an academic job here, like professors, right? So assistant professors or lecturers. So it is not possible, especially in social sciences and sciences, right? So that is because German education system is academic market is a rigid one, and second is it also requires German skills, right? So high fluent German skills you require. And there's another problem is maybe it is because if you apply for funding in the through Indian governments, right? Some of the state governments give funding to the students, scholarships to the students. Those scholarships are actually restricted to ranked universities, right? So let's say I come from Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh has recently, put a restriction on 200 top 200 universities. You have to get admission in one of the top 200 universities. Then only you will get the funding, scholarships. So in that case, Germany, have not many in top 100 and 200. After 200, you find many actually 200 to 400, right? So that is the bracket you find high number of German universities, because German universities, though they are very high quality in terms of education infrastructure, they don't run the way US and UK university system run, right? So they also don't actually emphasize much on rankings, international rankings like QS ranking, right? So, or Times Higher Education ranking. All these rankings, they don't actually give so much importance to these rankings. That is why German universities don't. That doesn't mean that they are no less than any of the UK university, top UK university or US university. Let's say Oxford or Cambridge. Maybe these two, if you remove, or maybe there also some of the disciplines can directly compete with them. Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, MIT, because you can. If you go to any of these top universities like Heidelberg or University of Heidelberg University or University of Tübingen or University of Ludwig Maximilian University, which is in Munich, or Humboldt University in Berlin. So these kind of universities, if you go, you find photographs after photographs of Nobel laureates, right? So it is actually, you will be surprised. They may not figure out in top 50, but they will have, number of Nobel laureates, the kind of libraries they have, the kind of infrastructure, the kind of professors who have done great research and the inventions they have come up with. They have done some breakthroughs and they have brought some theories in social sciences. So you find them. But the only thing is, they are not highly ranked like US and UK because they don't give so much importance to the ranking in the last few years. Now only they started giving little bit, but not the way you think about US and UK, right? So that's another challenge that's you have to keep in mind when you are applying for German universities. And now comes to what kind of courses we have, and like bachelor degree, right? So most of the Indian students don't opt to come to Germany for bachelor degree. That is very easily understandable because most of the bachelor degrees are taught in German, right? So when they're taught in German, obviously you don't have German skills up to the level of what it requires to participate in the course and to take assignments, to give exams, to interact with professors. So these all are to comprehend the complex text, right? So because German universities, as we just spoke, it is a research intensive universities, which means actually in the graduate level itself, you have to write research papers, right? So every semester, every course, you have to produce a 10-page, term paper, which actually is original based on your original research. You have to go through a lot of literature and you have to make your own argument based on the literature. You have to have a research question and or a hypothesis. Then you have to test that with this literature and the analysis and your own argument, and then you have to conclude. So this is basically a very typical German university functioning, right? German universities don't rely on exams. They rely on research, right? They rely on research papers, presentations. How do you present your research? How do you come up with your hypothesis, research hypothesis? How do you argue in your papers? So this is because they think that is the only way how to improve critical thinking and analytical abilities when you study any course, any discipline, right? So that is why they emphasize on these kind of methods. So now, if you have to do this, you need to have very high fluency in the language, right? So if you don't have command on language, you cannot perform these tasks, right? So understanding a text, comprehending it very deeply, right? Deeply engaging with very complex texts, which are theories, which are philosophical sometimes, which are like scientifically very heavily written. drawn theses. So these all are not easy to comprehend if you don't have good language skills. So that is why you need at least C1 German. Some of the programs say B2, but B2 is not helpful. By the time you come, you have to have C1, and then once you come, again you have to go through some German courses, because in the local environment, if you go through, then only you will be able to understand. And the another problem is 13-year study. We have only 12-year study. Now the new education policy has come, so I am not sure about what is the repercussions and how states are adopting it. But usually we have this 12-year schooling, right? So or 10+2 format, where 10-year high school till 10th you pass high school or secondary school, and then you go into either a junior college or pre-university course, or you are senior secondary or whatever higher secondary you call it. So those courses are only 12-year studies. But in Germany, what happens is you need to have 13-year study, because German schools offer 13-year schooling, right? So if you don't have, if still you are very much interested in a bachelor degree, if it is offered in English, maybe you are interested and you want to go and study in Germany, then there is an option. One is you give a JEE, joint entrance exam, which is conducted by IIT. And then you have to have a qualifying mark in JEE's advanced test. When you have, then you are qualified to pursue bachelor's without 13 years of schooling, right? So that is one. And second way of entering bachelor's or undergraduate courses is 1 year you study undergraduate course in a recognized university in India, and then bring the mark sheet and get a letter from the university that you have studied that 1 year, and then produce that in the German university, right? So that is another possibility where you can enter German education system at a bachelor level, right? So these are the two ways to enter if you think you need to get into. Or there is another way of doing it is an assessment exam you have to pass, right? It's called Studienkolleg, where the exam is conducted. You are given 1 year time to prepare, and then you need to go through German courses, and then you have to pass the exam. Then you will get into a bachelor course, right? So my understanding is here nobody is opting for bachelor's. That's my understanding. So let's skip this, and then just for information and for understanding, I am just giving you this, right? And next is master. This is what the important segment of our presentation is, right? So here Germany is increasingly adopting English as a medium of instruction. So now they are offering the courses in both German and English. Some of the courses are only in English, like let's say what I studied, right? Public policy in University of Erfurt. It is only offered in English. It is only offered at an international level. So all the students from across the globe come to this place to study. So these kind of courses are rare. There are not many actually, but there are English courses, but there are also German courses. Like let's say you have MA Sociology, right? In a university in Germany offers MA Sociology in English, but they also offer MA Sociology in German. So it is possible both the languages they offer these days, right? That is because to attract one, foreign students, second, to also give their own students English environment and give a global experience, right? So both ways Germany wants to get benefited from by offering English course, not just only German. Medium of instruction is German, right? And these English masters are the most popular courses among international students. Even students from the US come here to study these courses because US is very expensive to study. And for a student in US, if he has to, even if he gets a partial scholarship, it is still cost them, to study 2-year master in the US. Let's say what I studied, right? Public policy. In a similar kind of a university, similar kind of a school, with a similar background of professors and a library and environment and everything, it costs at least 40 to 50 lakhs in US. If you get a scholarship, then maybe 20 lakhs or 30 lakhs it costs you, right? So So, which is basically, in Germany, the same thing. It will cost you with the living expenses and course fee, not course fee, the contribution, the semester contribution, and the semester fee. What I have paid, everything came to 15 lakhs, which is like less than what a student in the US pays, right? So, and you can also work in Germany part time, and then you can actually pay your living expenses also with the work what you do. So that is the advantage what you have in studying masters in Germany, right? It's 2 years. We have to remember that it is not 1 year like UK or some other university systems or some other countries. They offer 1 year, but in Germany all the master courses are 2 years, unless I am not sure of any masters which is 1 year. I have not come across yet. So most of them are 2-year masters, right? So, and you have 3 types of institutes, right? So one is technical universities, right? So the people who wants to focus on more towards science, technology, engineering, right? When I say sciences, the natural sciences and the physical sciences. So those sciences and technology and engineering courses are offered by technical universities. It's called Technische Universität. That is what in German it is called, right? They're generally TU. They call it TU Munich, TU Berlin, TU Hamburg, TU Darmstadt, so TU Dresden. So these all are popular, technical universities, which are like really top notch, and you have a great opportunities to research there and get jobs after your program. And they also offer English, medium of instruction is English. They also offer courses, additional courses also if you want. Other disciplines also you can learn. So they are like really great universities. And there is also another RTH Aachen, which is where I live now. It's very nearby, and it's very good university like TU University. They also offer social sciences, but they are related to technology, like let's say STS, right? Science Technological Studies, where you study science from a sociological perspective, or philosophy of science, like history of science. And these things you study from sociological perspective, the science as a discipline. So those courses are offered here, right? And some of them are studying innovation, right? Innovation and the way the new digital technologies are shaping our lives. So that is also studied from a society policy perspective. So they offer those courses, right? TU Munich offers these kind of courses, as far as I know. So likewise, some of them offer economics of engineering. So those kind of things. So environmental sciences, environmental engineering, environmental policy. So those things they offer, sustainable studies. So these all are under TU you can study. And there is University of Applied Sciences, right? So University of Applied Sciences these are universities which don't give you a path to academics, right? Usual academy, right? In the sense, you don't study them from a fundamental research perspective or a theoretical perspective. So you don't come up with theories, or you study theories and then come up with your own argument and then write thesis. This is not the way they work. They function as more of an applied methodologies, right? Where you learn practical issues of the either business or society or economics or science, technology, whatever. So it could be computer science, it could be even public policy, but from applied public policy, right? So how the government functions. So what is bureaucracy? So what kind of things are there in bureaucracy? So those things, not getting into the sociological theory of the government, right? So where I studied, it was a university, like the first one, right? So where we had to study the more of a theoretical foundations. So how the sociological theory impacts the government, how the government functions in a sociological structures, so, and how the politics interact with economics, and what is the competition policy. So to study competition policy, you go into the theory of some of these fundamental economic theories. But in Fachhochschule, it is called in German. So it's a University of Applied Sciences. You don't study them. You study more of a practical challenges and you find practical solutions for the problems. So that is when you apply for these universities and then study, as a career oriented, right? So I mentioned this word earlier, career oriented. So career oriented doesn't mean that others don't have career. They also have career, but these all are fast lane to career, fast track. You immediately study what is required in the industry, and then you jump to the industry and then work with the industry. That's how they work, right? And universities and technical universities are research intensive, as I said just now. So you can become a academic or a professor also by studying there. But in Fachhochschule, it is not meant to become an academic or to become a theoretical researcher, right? So it is more of a professional and technical careers where you give your skills to an industry or in the government or in other spaces. And what is the eligibility, right? So these all are standard eligibility, like wherever, if you go to even US or UK, these are the same eligibility criteria, right? Good grades you need to have. Most of the universities have this 65 cutoff, but if you have a good experience, then it may be you don't need that 65. If you are getting into the masters, then if you have, after bachelor's, you have already studied masters in India, little or PG diploma, and then you have kind of some good experience for 5 years, then this grades may not be that critically looked at, right? And statement of purpose that you all know now, that's also called motivation letter or statement of purpose. So why you want to do this, right? So why you want to do this course, that you have to tell your story, your life story, your what actually made you to go into this particular discipline, particular course, particular university. Why did you choose this? Or particular school. Why did you choose this? Why? What is that made you, compelled you to do this, right? So that that is one thing which you require a lot of thinking, right? So you need to plan ahead and then think, write, rewrite, revise, and then ask people to review and then get their opinion, like speakers, right? So here people are coming and then telling you what to do, how to do things, and because they have done already. So you can send them, or you can send me, if it is a public policy or so political science, then I can look into it. If it is a master's, I can look into it. And even if it is PhD, I can look into it. I can ask my wife, who is an anthropologist. She's also PhD. So I can ask her to look into it. And this can be done, through, and once but the story should be yours. See, somebody else cannot write you have to remember this. Somebody else cannot write your SOP. They can only give you ideas. They can only give you review, and they can give you recommendations, suggestions based on what you have written. But you have to write your own story. Because then only it will stick, right? The story sticks there. Otherwise, it becomes like some kind of a lie. If somebody writes that, it shows up on the face, right? So if it is not your own idea, it will be easily shown on the paper. So that is why you need to write your own SOP, but it can be refined, right? From different sources. Different people can look into it, refine it, and make it better. But the ideas should be yours. And you have to write in your own language, your own story. And CV, of course, if you are coming to the masters, then you need to have a decent CV where you have studied your bachelor's, and if you have experience, what kind of experience you have, and if you have done some interesting courses, what you have done, and what are your electives or specializations in the bachelor's, and then if you have done masters already, then what you have done in that. So all that, Germany has a kind of a particular style of a CV. So where you have to have a picture, photograph. But if it is not required, university will tell you not to keep a photo, right? But if they are not saying, then you have to have a photograph on your CV. So that is one. And second, there is an order. So first you talk about your educational qualification, then you talk about your experience, chronological order, right? So the latest is the first, and then going back to going down the last one, where the first where you started your career, right? So that's what you have to do. And then you write your any leadership or extracurricular stuff you have done, but not like trivial things, but serious ones, right? So you are a great sports person, or you are a great artist, or you are you have got some laurels on these kind of extracurricular or even curricular, right? So where you have done you have written some paper, it has received some kind of critical remarks, and it got published somewhere. So those things you can bring here, right? So all those achievements, right? So you can have achievements, you can have scholarships, and you can have any funding you have got, or you have put together team, if you have any leadership achievements you have. So all those things it can come here, right? So and then they will also ask you. So all this the English is the another important thing. But in Germany, some universities can waive off this. How? If you have studied your bachelor's already in English medium, right? So there is an exemption, some universities provide. If you have already studied your bachelor's in the English medium, and you can prove that, then you are exempted from taking IELTS and TOEFL. So that is one advantage of some of the universities can provide you in Germany. And coming to PhD, so the PhD is one tricky thing in Germany, right? So if you do PhD in Germany, will you get a job in Germany, right? So that's a big question. So if you do PhD, whether you can get a job in Germany as a postdoc, you may get, but as an assistant professor, you may not get. So then you have to again look for other destinations like Netherlands, which is more flexible and more inviting, more welcoming other foreigners, right? And second is UK, US, Canada, Australia. So and India, of course. If you've done your PhD in Germany, so maybe Indian universities will accept you. A lot of private universities are there, and the new universities, government universities, they will all, will give you an opportunity to teach there and to become a professor. So there are many who studied in Germany. They went back to India, and then they are now professors and assistant professors and all that. But in Germany, it is very difficult to pursue an academic career after PhD. You may do PhD and then pursue other careers like being a researcher, or being working in a startup, or even working in some big companies. So all that is possible, right? Working in labs, because if you are a scientist, and working in as a postdoc fellow, research fellow for certain time, because Germany also has that, right? So beyond 6 years, if they are employing you as a researcher after PhD, then after that Germany will not fund you. Then you have to bring your own funding. So these kind of complexities are there for academics in Germany. But however, PhD is a good option in Germany, because as we talked about it, Germany has a research intensive universities, and it gives you the funding, it gives you all the resources required to freely conduct and pursue your research interest, right? Because academic freedom is one thing which I didn't mention probably here, but that's one of the hallmark of German education system. So you can write and you can argue about anything in the world possible, right? But of course, there are reasonable restrictions back home if you want to do something. So you have to be careful how to tread your path. But in general, academic freedom is great. So you can pursue whatever your research interest area is. And so there are research institutes apart from universities which provide you this PhD opportunities. Like Max Planck Institute is one. Like it's a great place to have your do your PhD. People who do PhDs in Max Planck are more sought after, and because they have more funding, more resources, and it is also more prestigious. So you will get more opportunities once you do in those institutes like Max Planck, or some places like Max Weber College, or places like, Leibniz Institute. So there are these network of institutes, right? So which are outside university system, but they are research institutes, like what we have, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, right? TIFR. Similarly, they also have their own research institutes like CCMB in Hyderabad, right? So these kind of institutes, BARC, BARC in, so those kind of institutes are there in Germany also, but they are more in number, right? So there are, I think, 50, 60 institutes, Max Planck institutes are there where you can pursue your PhD in different disciplines, like even humanities, social sciences, engineering, science, technology, whatever you want, right? And so to do PhD in Germany, of course, you need a master's degree, one in the related discipline or the adjacent disciplines. So if you want to pursue a kind of PhD in let's say interdisciplinary course like public policy, right? So either you should have a social sciences master's, or you should have a closely related disciplines like economics, political science, sociology, or law, or maybe masters in business studies also is possible. So all these studies, if you have, then it is possible to conduct your PhD in public policy. And maybe MPhil is another option you can choose in India before you come here. But I learned MPhil is no more. It's going to be there after the new education policy. So a strong research master's would really give an edge actually to write your proposal to pursue PhD, right? So what you require is, first you need to figure out who your guide should be, right? So you need to go to a university. You should search an university first where your discipline, which discipline you want to, your research question, right? You have to first prepare a research question. So this research question is related to which discipline? If that discipline is existing in particular university, so you go to that university and then check in that particular department who is actually dealing with a related area of your research question. Let's say you have put a research question, is innovation in India, innovation in India, innovation policy in India, right? So in India, how is it inclusive, right? So you want to study that as a PhD thesis for your PhD thesis. So now you go to different universities and then see who is studying actually innovation under maybe public policy, under political science, under sociology, under economics. Who is studying this? You go to the professor and then you write to them, and then you write a small paragraph, right? Or 2 paragraphs, maybe a page or 2 pages maximum, or 1 page minimum about your idea, right? So what kind of a PhD you want to do, why you want to do this, why it interests you, is there a gap, literature gap, because in India nobody is doing this, because it's the question of inclusivity within the innovation policy. So nobody has touched it. So if nobody has touched it, then that's what you should do, because it's that is what PhD is all about, right? So where there is no insight, there is a literature gap, then you fill that gap basically, so that others can use it. So that is then you should write up, you should prepare a write up and then send to a professor who is dealing with this topic, and then ask him if he is interested to take up your you as a student, right, as a PhD candidate. So then there is an administrative process. Once he says yes, then there is a process where you prepare your proposal and then you send him or her, and then they will tell you whether this is okay, or you have to review. Once you revise, and then you enroll into a university saying that I want to enroll for a PhD, and then the professors will help you. And there are administrative issues, right? So where you have to produce your all other documents, like what we said for masters, it's very similar to PhD also. But the only difference is in PhD, maybe they may ask you 2-3 publications, right? 1 or 2 publications where your thesis, master thesis, is one of them. So you may have to produce your master thesis, to prove that you have a required research skills and the writing skills, right? So with that, your PhD application can be made fruitful, right? So PhD is easier in Germany because you don't have to give GRE like US. In US, you have to go through GRE, and then the test is a little bit difficult if you don't have a maths and English background. But in Germany, it is not required. But what question you are posing, right? And then whether the professor is interested in your question, that is what is important in Germany. And second way of doing PhD is project-based PhD, where you there is a project, a professor is executing a project. Within this project, professor hires few PhDs, right? 2 PhDs or 3 PhDs. But you also need to have an alignment. Your interest, your topic should be aligned to that topic of the project. So then you can apply to the professor saying that you are interested with the required documents, because there the documents vary, right? It depends on what professor needs. So that particular project group needs. So based on that, you apply, and then you will be selected based on your credentials and your past thesis, master thesis, and your resume or CV, and your publications or other achievements. So these all are like any other PhD in any other university. And what it requires, right, to pursue master's or PhD, right? What is that you need to plan? You have to plan at least 1 year ahead, right? Because you need to know which course, which university, and then once you figure that out, whether it suits you as a person, for your family, because it is also expensive proposition, right? So though fees are the course fee is not there, you need to pay your living expenses, your other expenses like your boarding, your food, and your clothing maybe, and you need the winter clothes, because that's very important in Germany, because winter is really bitter, and you need protection from this bitter winter, right? So it can go minus 15 sometimes, right? So that's the extreme weather conditions are there in winter. So for that, you need a different clothing, and then you need to spend. So all this costs, right? So because what you buy in India may not be sufficient for minus 15 degrees. So you need to buy here, come here, and then see, and then buy it. So for that, you need to budget everything. So after you budgeting everything, so for that, you need to work out, right? So what kind of funding you need? So then scholarships, where the scholarships are there. So these scholarships are generally advertised 6 months, 1 year ahead. So that's why you need at least 1 year ahead planning. I would say actually 2 years. That is the best case scenario is 2 years ahead you plan, and then start looking for scholarships, start looking for funding, and start looking for universities. So these two, once you figure out, then you keep applying for universities, shortlist the universities, at least 5 to 10. The course, which course you want to study, and then you also shortlist scholarships, which are like 4 or 5, which are really suitable for you, for your eligibility, whether you are eligible or not. Whatever the eligible scholarship, you start applying. So I would say at least 2 years ahead you plan, and then 1 year ahead you start applying. Then you will get a confidence, right? So whether it is working or not. So first time you may not be successful, because I have seen a lot of people who doesn't get succeed in the first time. Second time they get succeeded. So that is why you need to give this 2 years of planning and thinking. At least that idea should come 2 years ago. Then you should work on it, and then within next 2 to 3 years, you will be able to achieve your dream of going to either Germany or anywhere else. To the university, which university you want to, your dream university, your dream course, right? So because education is not about just career, it is also about experience. It's about dream. It is also about everything. It is not just about, after education, after studying here, what is that we are getting. We are not just getting the job, but we are getting all other things, right? A kind of a different experience, diverse experience, right? From different kinds of people you meet, and it enriches you as a human being, as a professional, as an academic also, as a researcher also. So everything. So that is why I would say, you have to think and plan well ahead. Not just only 1 year, but even beyond that. But if you have already thought about it, everything, and then 1 year is enough. But if you have not thought about it, you are just now thinking, then it requires at least 2 to 3 years. That's what my suggestion would be, right? And then you choose a program which is the most suitable. One is your interest. Second is, of course, the career, which career you want to land in after once you finish the course. Whether you want to get into the job here in Germany, or you want to come back to India and then do something in India, either work for government or work in research institutes, or become an academic, or you want to start your own enterprise, either a startup or a non-profit. So what you want to do, you should think that before you go into your career. But of course, before you go into your program. But of course, when you go into the program, you get more ideas, more networking, more meeting more people, gives more experience. So you will also get more ideas to what to do in your career. Sorry. So then, this is a very standard approach, right? You all would know. So listing the universities and what kind of documents you require, you prepare those documents, you get it reviewed, and then you revise them, refine them. And then, before the application, you should do all these things, right? And somebody asked letter of recommendations. So this is one tricky question, right? So some of you might not have, might have gone to the school, to university or college, school long ago, and then you have quit, and then you have taken gap, and then you are not in touch with your teachers. So in that case, what do? Right? So you still can request. You don't have to, shy away from your teachers. You can still request. One. Second, you can request from the mentors, right? Who is mentoring you in Nalanda, right? So they can also give you letter of recommendation. But for that, you need to interact with them. You need to, you need to tell them what actually you are, and you need to open up, right? So you need to give that confidence to them that you are the right candidate for this job, right? This course. Then what happens is the mentors can give you that recommendation, so that they can give their stamp on that, right? So yes, this course is the best fit for him or her, and or she or he are best fit for this course, and both ways, right? So that letters are one thing which can be obtained from anybody, but preferably from your teachers, because that is what universities expect you to get from your teachers who taught you the courses in your bachelor's when you are going to the master's, or if you have done master's already and then in the master's, to go into the master's or PhD, right? So that is the best way. And the second best way is to get from your work supervisors who has seen your work, right? So who has supervised you in your work environment, your boss, your team lead, your manager, who has seen you working, and you interacted with them. So you can get from them also your letters. So that is one thing. And letters also, there are, some universities give their structure like a table, and then you have to fill that. Your referee have to fill that and then send them directly. Or some universities and schools have, they will ask the student itself to get the letter, everything, and then submit it. And third way is they just have to mail, the universities, right? The referees have to just mail the universities. There will be a deadline, and then you have to tell your referees this is the deadline, and then they will send the letters to the university. And the most important part is scholarships, right? So that is, we will talk about it in detail in a bit, but scholarships are very important because it supports your living expenses, food expenses, and other expenses, right? So your travel from coming from India to Germany, again, if you want to go back from Germany to India 2 years later, and these all have to be supported. And maybe some scholarships are there which actually support you even if you want to attend conferences and meetings, events, when you are studying in Germany. So those scholarships are also available. So you have to see all those options and then apply for all the scholarships, and it takes a lot of time. So that is why I would say you need to have at least 2 to 3 years time in your hand to actually to get if you are applying for scholarships. If you are applying for only without scholarship, if you want to just go and study, then you need 1 year is enough to actually apply and go, right? And as I said, some courses attract fees, right? So 1,500 euros, which is actually today's currency, it's around 2 lakh to 2,20,000 or something like that, right? So that much you have to pay for few courses in some of the German universities. Otherwise, most of the German courses in German universities are free, but there is a 20,000 rupee fee per semester. 20 to 40,000 depends on which university, which city you are going. As I said earlier, that's a semester contribution, it is called. It gets you a ticket which you can commute within your city or within your state. Depends on the kind of rule the government has in that state. And then second is, it also gives you subsidized food in your cafeterias. So that is also possible with the ticket. That is what it does. And it also works as library card, right? So when you go to the library, you can take printouts, you can scan your stuff. So all that it gives you. So this is what the planning before you apply, right? So once you, sorry, this is, I think, same. Yeah. So once you enroll so actually there is one slide which I am missing. I'm sorry about that. So this should be somewhere, there is another slide. I missed it. So, okay, I will send the slides to that. I'll add that slide and send it to Nalanda. Then I think you will get that slide actually as part of the your presentation deck, right? So the slide was basically after applying what you should do, right? So before once you get the admission, is basically applying for visas and then block account, because in Germany you have something called block account. So you have to block an account in a German bank, which is like Deutsche Bank, right? So which has branches in India. So you have to go to Deutsche Bank, or some of the Indian banks are offering this service. Like go to Kotak Bank and then ask them to provide you a block account. Block account is nothing but you have to block. When I was going, it was, I think, around 6 lakhs or something. You have to block, which was 8,000 euros. Now I think it is 10,000 euros, which is, I think, 8 lakhs. So 8 lakh rupees per first time you have to block that amount in your bank. You have to have deposit of that much, and that is actually in German account, not in Indian account. So these banks in India, some of the banks like Kotak Bank and Deutsche Bank, they provide this service. So you can block this account from there before you apply for visa. And when you go to visa, you have to take this block account proof and then submit that to the visa office along with your admission letter, right? So you will get either a provisional admission or a full admission. You will get from the university. Once you get the full admission letter, your block account, and your travel insurance, right? So you also need to have insurance. That insurance you have to show to the visa, your visa office in German consulate or embassy in India. So if you go with this, then only they will issue you visas. And these days visas are getting delayed. That's what I heard from some of within my network. They were saying student visas are getting extremely delayed and these days sometimes it is also 3 months, 4 months, 5 months also. So it is better always to apply ahead, right? So earlier it used to take only 4 weeks to 8 weeks. That was the maximum to minimum to maximum. 4 weeks minimum, 8 weeks is maximum. But now they are saying it's actually, it can take even 4 to 6 months also. So that is like really absurd, but yeah, that is what is happening. So that's why you need to do it well ahead. And once you come to Germany, right? So you apply for scholarships or not scholarship. If you don't apply for scholarships, then you need to figure out, how do you fund your studies, studies in the sense living expenses. For that, you can work. While you are studying, you can work in Germany. There is a provision. Every week, German government allows you to work for 20 hours. So people work as in different setups, like from factories to supermarkets to restaurants to everywhere. But apart from that, you can also work in the university, like a library, in cultural centers of university, and as a student assistant for professors. So all these are possible, right? So, but those jobs are university jobs are very minimum. And second is, you need to be very good communicator, because you need to know German most of the times. So if you know German, then it's easier to get. Sometimes, even if you don't know German, sometimes some professors who are working on English research, they may provide you some kind of a research assistant job, even both for masters and PhDs. But PhDs generally get other funding, but masters, it's difficult to get other funding from scholarships, right? So the other thing is you work in different setups, as I said. But one thing is, while you work and study, a lot of people, what they do is, when they come here, they come with a lot of enthusiasm, and then they start work because they have to fund their living expenses. So while they're working, and their studies take a beating, right? So then what they do is they get distracted, and sometimes coursework is little intensive. You have to produce research, you have to write papers, there will be multiple assignments. Every week you have classes. After the classes, every week you have readings, like every class, once before the class itself, you have to read and go to the class, because there are very heavy readings, right? So where you have to read for each, when you go to a class, that class sometimes requires some kind of 50, 100 pages also, right? So each class, which means actually in a week, you may end up reading hundreds of pages. So which requires a lot of bandwidth, right? So a lot of brain power. So for that, if you are working, and then if you are studying, it's not easy to manage both, right? So it's not very easy to manage both. And after all this, you also have assignments. You have like term assignments, like short-term assignments, where monthly you have something to write, something to present, and some group assignments, some projects. And then you also have every semester, end of the semester assignments, right? So that is more intensive. Like the end of the semester, you will get a break, but you need to produce them on time. In Germany, that is one thing, right? So you need to produce everything on time. If you don't produce on time, if you don't present your research or your papers, everything, if you don't give it to hand into your professor on time, you will get 0. That's another problem. You may write great piece, but you delayed and you could not submit on time. You will miss the deadline, and then you will not get the grades. But one thing is, you need to be straightforward. If you are taking time, you need to always say, sorry, I cannot produce this in this time. I can take 2 days more. So you do that. So that's option. So you can do that. But for that, you need to be well prepared, and don't neglect, in the by focusing more on career, don't neglect the studies, what you're doing right? So when you are doing masters, you always think, it's like, yes, masters, I have come here, I got a masters, now I need to look for job rather than studying. So that mentality, what happens is, you may end up delaying masters, you may end up not getting good grades. Not having good grades, you may not get good PhD either. or if you want to, some of the companies usually they don't care about grades, but some want at least decent grades, right? So at least 70% they need, if not 85-90%, at least 70% grades they need. So you need to balance your career, your networking, your entertainment, so you are on your own. Nobody is going to tell you. And German universities are notorious in giving you independence and freedom. So you will end up actually having so much freedom that you will miss classes also, because there is no compulsion on a student to go to class in Germany. So even if you lose all the classes, you can bunk, and then you can go to the exam. People still can write exam, produce papers. You can write still paper and then present to your professor. So that's possible. So if you do that, then what happens is your quality of experience, right? What the university is going to give, that is going to diminish. So most of the students who come here, they end up missing classes, that because of this reason. Because in Germany there is no strict law, right, for student to attend all the classes. There is no attendance requirement of 70%, 80%. There's nothing. So you can go or don't go because you're an adult, right? So after 18 years in Germany, people are treated as an adults. So they can do whatever they want. So that is where your responsibility comes with freedom, right? So you need to have that responsibility and accountability with freedom. So that is what teaches you also the university system here. And when you are studying, you also need to, because before studying, you might have some other ideas, right? So you want to become a professor before studying because you think you need to have a PhD. But after coming here, you might get a great ideas to work on something, right? So you want to start something, or you want to pursue some other research. So you identify some different insight, right? So these things can happen. So that is why you always keep your mind open. Don't close to one thing. Keep open, but at the same time, stay focused, right? So this is a very delicate balance you have to maintain. Having focus, but at the same time, having open mind. Both is important. Both are important, right? And while you are doing this, you also need to network. You also need to attend events, attend conferences, meet people, so that you know what these opportunities are going to be, right? So either in Germany or in Europe or outside, you never know, where life takes. You meet more people in Germany, the more opportunities. That's how Germany is, So people think, no, I'll apply and then I'll get job. It doesn't work that way. That is, people think that is the only professional way. Even in Germany, it is not that way. The only networking works more than your straightaway applications, right? So through network, you can get more jobs actually, because English jobs are hard to come by. So if you know the person better, the person also knows you better. So there's a trust. Yes, I trust him. So let me just recruit them. So that is how it works. And for that, what you need to do is, while attending conferences, meetings, meeting more people, and having connections on LinkedIn and so on, but you also can take internships, right? Take internships, but very seriously. In Germany, you can have 2 internships. One is in the summer, one is in the after every break. You can have one actually, if it is possible. But I think 3 months is the minimum in most of the universities. 3-month internship is the minimum in your 2-year course. And if you take seriously and then do it 6 months, even if you forego a semester but do an internship, that will actually add more value than what you get in the classroom, right? So a lot of people do that. So Indian students or foreign students, whoever come here, actually German students do it even more. They forego 6 months, 1 year, and then they go through the internship and they learn the trick, right? So how to work in a German organization, how to build networks, where the opportunities are. To find this, internships are the best way to do that. So that is why people take that, that leave 6 months, 1 year, they take a break, and then they go through this internship and then come back to the university. That is one option you have, right? And if you want to transition from master's to PhD, you have to tread that path very carefully, because you should know what you are going to do, because PhD can be disorienting, right? So PhD is a long haul. Like it takes 3 years to anywhere between 10 years. People finish even 6 years, 7 years. So then, you may lose track of your career. You may lose, the focus, interest, everything. So that is why it's very important to carefully choose your research question and carefully plan your PhD so that you can complete within time, right? Within your funding time. You have funding for 4 years. So you need to complete that within funding time of 4 years. So if you extend, then you have to look for more funding, or you have to do odd jobs, which again will disorient your thesis completion, right? So you are working and then you can't focus and you are in the last leg of your research. So it's really, a stressful period. So that is why, transitioning from masters, if you are doing masters in Germany, transitioning from masters into PhD is a very careful choice you have to make, right? So you have to talk to your professors and then understand the challenges and the opportunities and threats, and do a SWOT analysis, right? So what kind of things are in store for you? So then you decide whether to do a PhD or not. If you are doing, then what kind of PhD? Is it a project-based PhD or a independent PhD or a part-time PhD? If you are doing part-time PhD, what kind of job you want to do for the 50% you spend time outside the PhD? So these things you have to carefully, craft it and plan it. Then you will be successful. In a place like Germany, because this is not a place, where there is a social pressure, right? So nobody is caring about you. In India, at least people keep asking you, hey, are you doing your, are you at the completion of your PhD? Have you defended? So there is a social pressure. Are you working? So with the social pressure, what you do is you just, you keep pushing yourself. But here you get absolutely, freedom, absolute freedom. So to do whatever you want to do. So in that you may go wrong. So that's why you need that accountability and responsibility while you work on your research or your masters, whatever you do. Yeah. And scholarships, right? So this is what we will. I think we are. I don't know how long we are taking. Is it? I think we are going beyond the time. But let me just complete this, and then we will wrap it up soon, within 5 to 10 minutes. I think it's very long. So scholarships, this is the site I would recommend you to go through. DAAD is the German government sponsored organization, which is there in India. So for Indian students, they have their own, website and their own scholarships. So you can go to these scholarships and then you can select what kind of subject, what kind of scholarships are there. So everything is, is available here. Postgraduate students, you get 861. This is, I think, an old number. I think new number is changed. Some programs it differs, but it is again, it's somewhere around 8 to 1,000. It will be 800 to 1,000 euros, which would be around, 60,000 rupees to 1 lakh rupees. So that is actually good enough to live in Germany for a student. So it covers all the costs for you. And doctoral students is 1,200. So obviously doctoral students, which are like PhD students, they get better pay. So, and they also give you a return ticket, which is like to go to Germany and then come back to India. So the both ways they will give you, they sponsor the trip to Germany, and they also give you some allowances for your clothing, for your events and conferences, to attend conferences. They sponsor all that. So what is the eligibility? Usually this is generic I am giving you, but there are different scholarships. So under DAAD, again, you have different scholarships. Different scholarships will have different things, but this is broadly, a general thing, right? So you need to, if you are doing masters, for masters, you need to, have at least 6 years ago only you should do. Beyond 6 years, you are not eligible. So if you are applying for 2024, then 2018 is the cutoff for you. So if you have done your bachelor's before 2018, then you are not eligible. So that's the thing. And as I said, attendance, right? So it was not mandatory for others. But if you get DAAD scholarship, you have to attend classes, all the classes. For others, it's not mandatory. And similarly, you need to have good grades for scholarships. So, and you need to have IELTS course. So And yeah, the other scholarships are there, which is basically, this is a partial scholarship. It's called Deutschland Stipendium, which is a government, private, both together, they sponsor it. 300 euros per month, you get it. So which will cover your maybe rent and some expenses. So it's good. You will get either 2 semesters, first 2 semesters. Usually, sometimes first 2 semesters they say, but it's full study period you may get, or later 2 semesters in the second year also you may apply and get it, right? So that's possible. And other scholarships, I have given links here, so you can go through them. If you have any doubts, you can write to me. I can explain you, right? And these are the resources. You can go through all this, and then we can discuss. And if you have any questions, let's do this. And we are already out of time, but still we can take questions. I don't have any problem if you guys don't have any problem. I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Mm-hmm. So sociology is like any other social sciences. You need to apply, as I said earlier. So you need to figure out your research question. So that is the most important aspect of your PhD. So what you want to study, right? So is there a gap in literature, or there is an insight you want to bring out to the society, or is there a policy question you want to answer or address, right? So these kind of things, are there? Is there a sociological questions like issues of caste, religion, or issues of organizational sociology, or labor sociology, or class questions? So these things are how families are structured. So if you are cultural sociology, right? So there are a lot of cultural issues are involved in a society like India. So you have a lot of things which you can study. So those things, your interest first, and second is your observation, right? So there is a gap, or there is something you can bring a new insight. So that gap you need to fill by writing a hypothesis. What is hypothesis? I think there is a course on hypothesis. If you see in Nalanda, Digital Nalanda, there was a course on research methodologies and how to do research, right? So you can go through those courses and then see how to write your research question and hypothesis. So based on that, you have to approach a professor who is a sociology professor in a university where this study, what you want to do, right? That research question, where they are researching this question. Basically, if not the particular question, related question, right? If it is related to culture, then cultural sociology, where the professor is sitting and then doing some research or projects on cultural sociology. Then you have to see also the place, which place you are researching. If it is India, then South Asian studies, is there a place for South Asian studies in that university? So then you go and approach a sociologist there, and then or anthropologist, social anthropologist, or sociologist, right? Or political sociologist, or economic sociologist, or cultural. So you go and approach them and then tell them this is the question you want to answer or address, research question, or this is the hypothesis you are thinking about. Then they will give you the kind of a direction how to develop your proposal. Based on that, you can proceed, how to conduct your PhD work in Germany.
Yeah, hello. Thank you. Thank you for inviting. Sreekanth sir, it's a very informative and insightful session. Thank you very much for that. Actually, this question is for bachelors because my daughter is she is willing to study bachelors in Germany. She passed 12th this year only, and she has just now she appeared for B1 exam. We are awaiting for result, and we have one conditional offer also from EAH, Ernst Abbe Holske University. It is in Thuringia region, Jena. So I just would like to know more about it.
You
Hello.
said EH?
EAH, Ernst Abbe Holske in Jena, University of Jena.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, student colleague is sorry. So student colleague is the prerequisite you have to do in the in Germany university, whichever is offering the conditional offer to you. So what is the course, if I may ask you, sir?
No course. It's a student colleague for student colleague.
Yeah, but after student colleague, she wants to pursue bachelor's, right?
Yeah, she wants to pursue computer science and data science.
Okay. So, but what is the question, right? So, if whether it is good or bad, that's what you want me to ask.
Yes. Just.
Yeah. So it is student colleague is good in any Hochschule because it's a Hochschule, right? Hochschule,
Yeah,
I think.
Hochschule.
Hochschule. So it's an applied sciences university. So it is good. Jena is a good city, and the university also is good. So she can opt for it, and once she finishes the bachelor's, then she can always opt for a good university in Germany anywhere. Actually, Jena itself has a wonderful university. It's a University of Jena. They have computer science masters and computer science. They also have bachelors, but I'm not sure, if she could get there because you need the German actually in bachelors.
Yeah. This foundation is no foundation. She is going for a foundation.
Okay.
Student colleague, and she will go in German course only. TU exam. FSP she has to clear.
Yeah, sure.
And,
that's
and what about the place? How is that place, and about the safety of the girls?
Yeah. It's actually very good. I was in nearby city, so Erfurt was just half an hour in train. So I was there for 3 years. And Jena is a university city, so you don't have any other thing in Jena. Jena is called Jena in German. So it is a small city. It is not even 100,000 people are there. In the sense, 1 lakh people also are not there in that city. It's a small city, but it has a nice student environment, and it is very safe.
Yeah.
For students, yeah. But one thing we need to understand also is Germany still, the racism is a thing in Germany, right? So some places are not really safe to go, but it's not about the cities. It is about some areas within the cities. So that, anyway, the universities and within the universities, they will always alert you. When you are going out, you should not visit those places because there some elements like neo-Nazi elements, right? So Nazi elements still are prevailing, existing there. So those places are racist elements may attack, people, but that's like US, right? US also is the same, right? There are white supremacists can attack anybody anytime. So this danger is there everywhere. But overall, Germany is more safer than US, I could say, because I have been living here more than 5 years now. So I have never faced any violence or anything, but I have seen some of them, some others facing it, but it's rare.
Okay, and after completing this student Kaliyog, which university will be the best for this data science, computer science, or data science course?
Most of the universities nowadays offer this, and then all the good, even University of Jena, which is actually in the same city.
Applied science.
Not applied science, the other one, the main university is there in Jena.
Okay.
That is actually the one of the best universities for computer science.
Okay, okay. University of Jena.
University of Jena, yeah.
College, any college specifically? Sorry. I'm taking. Okay. No problem. Yeah, I will be in touch with you through email.
Yeah, please, you can write to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you for it.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Yeah, I think in the chat also there are some questions I have here. So shall I take one of these first, and then we will go through the others? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Preeti is asking, can you please elaborate some points on postdoc procedure in social sciences? So postdoc is it's usually through applications. So you have to see the advertisements. You have to keep looking for advertisements. So was one, and then apply for those advertisements in the when there is a call for postdocs. So in most of these research institutes like Max Planck and Leibniz and all that. And second is there are these project based, right? So there is a project a professor is conducting, and then they need a postdoc fellows. So they also kind of advertise for them. And these calls are basically, one is like a common call, and there are also grants where you write your own funding grant, right? So proposal you write for a postdoc. So if you are looking for DAAD also offers postdoc research grants. So you can look into DAAD, which I have given the link. So you can actually write to them and then ask for funding. And the other places are these foundations, which I have given, like KAS, HBAS, and all this. They are all political foundations where they conduct a lot of research. They also offer postdoc fellowships in different universities, right? So you can actually apply for them, and then you can take these scholarships, these fellowships in different universities. And there is one more thing, is Humboldt Fellowship, right? So Humboldt Fellowship is one of the prestigious postdoctoral fellowship. So after PhD, what you do is you come to you should not have spent in Germany in the last 6 months or 1 year. I'm not sure about that, but before that, in that last prior to 6 months, you should not have spent in Germany for 3 years, right? So within 6 months, you should have been in Germany, or you're outside Germany, you never visited Germany, right? So those kind of people, it is international mobility basically. So that is why they want international PhDs to come and conduct research. So you can apply to Humboldt, but Humboldt, you need a institute. So you need a host institute, right? So there should be a university, and a professor should agree to host you. So then you take this fellowship in that particular university under that professor. So they work as host or mentor to you. So then you have to approach a professor. That is another way of getting the postdoc. So the other thing is basically calls, right? So there are always calls, advertisements will be there. Then you have to apply for those advertisements. That's another way to apply for postdocs. Yeah, then we'll take now the YouTube question, Rahul. Send. Okay. But is there a thesis in thesis? Okay. So if there is no thesis, then it's very difficult. So you need to pursue either a master's, or you should work as a researcher somewhere in the field. Then only you can apply, because it's highly impossible without a master thesis. You have a master thesis which is decent, which is reasonably good. Then only it is possible to apply for PhD in Germany in these kind of fields. Yeah. Thank you. Which scholarship? I didn't get it. I'm sorry. Okay. So I am not aware of the scholarships in India. So probably you should check with somebody in Nalanda itself, so that because they've been working on this. So I think. Okay. Yeah. Then you are eligible then. Yeah. Okay. 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 And question here, shall we take here? Then we'll go there. One here, one there. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So there is one question from Sneha. Sir, you have said that plan before joining and after joining the university. Could you share how to plan for the master's section wise, please? So I think we can do separately this, because this will take time. So what I would say is the stepwise, if you want, then we need to do it separately, right? So she can actually mail me. I can we can take this up. Okay, Rahul. So is that okay? Okay. So Chandrika Pramod, she's asking actually, I'm a BTech final year student. If I want to do MTech in Germany, then when I start the procedure of taking admission or studying in Germany. Okay. So as I said, if you are looking for scholarships, then you need to at least have 2 years time. You need to have it to your hand, and you need to prepare for all the application material. That is one part. And second part is selecting the universities, shortlisting the universities in your area of study, which area you want to study. And third is scholarships, right? So all these things will take time. So at least 1.5 to 2 years, I would say. You need to plan ahead, and then you can start. If you are looking at next year, then it's very difficult, because it's already, we are into next year, like you only have 10 months, because October is the courses will start, and the most of the applications are going to end in the May, right? So May or June maximum. So you have effectively 5 months. So it's always better you take the next year, that is actually 2024 would be a good year to look at. And there is one more question. Actually, I am on the verge of submitting my PhD in sociology. Simultaneously, I am looking for postdoc. Okay, that's good. So I would say I just gave one answer before this, but I would say, postdocs, as I said, you can look for, even if you are in the verge of completing, you can look, but you need to have publications. At least for a Humboldt, you need 3 publications. That is the criteria. And for others, you need to check, different, postdocs has different kind of criteria. But the more publications, the more better. If you have more than one, it's mostly you will get easily. That is one. And second is you have presented your papers, conferences, and all that. And of course, recommendation letters. You are PhD student, you know better. So recommendation letters are very important for postdocs. So you need at least 2 to 3. Some places it's 3, some places it's 2. So you need them very strong and well-known academics are going to help you more. So you need to figure out your guide should be one of them. Your thesis supervisor should be one of them. Then it carries better weight. So recommendation letters, I would say, and the topic which aligns to your, and then you can look for the application advertisements in Germany, or you can write your own grant through DAAD, DFG, and Humboldt, so on, right? So these are some of the places you can look for. Actually, you can write to me. I can put in touch with my wife, who is a postdoc now. She's working here, so she can help you. Yeah. And when can I apply for the scholarship? Okay, so as I said, scholarship is always, lot of time is required for scholarship. Usually it is 1 year ahead, right? So if your course is starting in the October, so you need to apply in this year. Basically, in if it is 2023, by now most of the scholarships are closed for 2023. So now only you will get 2024 open. The scholarships are open now. So you need to now target 2024 as your admission date, right? Yeah, sociology or social anthropology. I understand. So both are closely related. So of course you can look into all those what I said. But you can also write to me. I can put you in touch with my wife, who is a social anthropologist. So she can guide a bit better than me. Yeah, of course, better than me. Yeah, and Pritesh Desh Dahipale, sir, I am looking forward to pursuing MS in food science in Germany. I want to ask about, is German language C1 mandatory? Not really C1 mandatory, because C1 is mandatory only for bachelor's. For master's, if it is the course is in English, you don't need to. If it is course in German, then of course you need to actually have C1. If it is in English, you don't need to. IELTS, yes, IELTS core is mandatory. I think some universities have this exemption. If you have your bachelor's in English, the medium of instruction is in English, then you can actually, you can show that as a proof of your English fluency, and then you can apply for it. So that's not that important, IELTS, if the university, but it depends on the university. You have to check their website and the admission procedure, right? So that's important. But you need to check actually the food science which university offers. That's more important than other things. Once you shortlist the universities, then you will know actually where the English language MS is offered. Then that's how you have to filter it down. So universities which are offering MS in food science first, and then within that English as a medium of instruction, then once you shortlist that, then you will easily get to know whether they need your IELTS or not. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Preeti. And Ajay, again, thank you so much for the informative. Thank you very much. No problem. I'll mail you. Thank you for answering the question. Thank you, Rahul, for writing. Yeah. Sure, Sneha. So you can write to me. I will write to you again, or we can set up a call. So, but I will write to you because it will be easier to explain than a call. Then if you have any questions, then we can do something later. I can write to you, or we can have a call, right? Yeah. And for scholarship, I have to wait for 1 year. Yeah, in the sense, because scholarships, every year they have a timetable, right? So you have to apply on that date. So let's say where I studied, they had this scholarship, DAAD scholarship called Helmut Schmidt. So that program was always, December was the cutoff. In December, they had this deadline. So after, once you apply in this December, which is actually only considered for, I think, next year, October. So scholarships are always time taking. So you need to at least give 1 year time. So, but I would say 1.5 years to 2 years is the best period, because you may not succeed first time, you may succeed later. So these things can happen. So it is always better to give more time if you are planning for scholarship, right? Yeah. Yeah, if you, I think I have covered all the questions here. If you have any questions, you can mail me. I can take them up later, and then I can write to you guys. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I have taken a lot of time of yours on Sunday. So yeah, thank you. Jai Bhim, good night, and you all have a safe week or good week ahead. Bye.
Recording stopped.